Is it time to sell your Apple stock? Welcome to the Money Growth Academy, where we demystify the stock market, simplify investing, and multiply your opportunities for financial success. This is a peek at one of our very early videos that we did for the Money Growth Academy back in November 2018. We've never actually released this video to the channel ever before. This particular video is my analysis of the Apple Q4 earnings call and my answer to whether or not it was time to sell my Apple stock. Here's the Apple Q4 analysis video. Enjoy. Apple's been in this downward spiral since its earnings release report. So it's gone from $233 a share to today, December 11th, 2018, to roughly $168 a share. So it's about a 28% drop in the price of the stock since the earnings report. So what's going on? Should you sell? And a lot of people are selling. So let's take a look at this. As I mentioned, Apple did this during its annual report, and most of that was driven by the fact that Tim Cook made a decision to not report iPhone unit sales anymore. They were going to report just like everybody else did in terms of revenue and expenses, but no longer going to utilize those unit numbers to sell. And what happened is a lot of people got all ticked off, mainly analysts, and people called foul. And they said, hey, Apple, something's going on because now Apple doesn't want to report numbers. The iPhone sales are going down. Look, there's only an optimum or maximum level of iPhones that Apple can sell. And unless they start selling to the Jupiter, to Mars, extraterrestrial somewhere. So it's not like Apple just figured that out yesterday, a month ago, or they figured it out a year ago. They knew this a long time ago. So let's give them some credit there. So before you decide to sell your Apple stock, I want you to consider a few things. And so I'm going to take you back to the past. I'm going to take you back to the Macworld Expo, January 9th, 2007. And it was there that Steve Jobs announced that he was going to remove computer from Apple's name. Matter of fact, this is what he said. He says, the Mac, iPod, Apple TV, and iPhone, only one of those is a computer. So we're changing our name. Let me help define what that means. So if you notice, Steve was setting Apple up for the future. That means what he wanted to look at is to take the boundaries away from what they could make and what industries they could participate in. So they no longer wanted to be defined by the product or the service or the industry that they sold into currently or in the future. Well, let's look at Tesla, Elon Musk. He took a page out of the Apple playbook as well. He named his company Tesla. And so Elon wanted to make sure that his company only had the opportunity, just as Apple did, to go into whatever industries where they saw that they could make an impact. So, and here's another little thing about Elon Musk that you might want to know and how important a name is Tesla.com took Elon Musk 11 years to get and $75 million. That's how important a name is. So Apple's announcement to no longer report its iPhone numbers really fell in line with Apple's decision, or at least Steve Jobs' vision of what Apple could become. And so it makes complete sense. I mean, we know that it's not called Apple iPhone, it's called Apple. That's the name of the company. So let's not get so wrapped up in the iPhone itself. Apple remains committed to the idea of bridging the gap between technology and the human experience. And that's that experience of where humans and technology meet and how they interact. Apple has always been about that. Despite what analysts say, the slowing down of Apple sales may not actually be a signal for the end of Apple, but maybe a new exciting phase to the Apple saga. Look, I read the same articles as many as you did back in 2013 and 2015. Let me just read a few of these to you. Has Apple lost its cool to Samsung? That's the Wall Street Journal, January 28th, 2013. Are Apple's glory days over? And that was Barron's, January 26, 2013. CNBC, This was Monday, January 28th, 2013. Apple is down 36% from its high on September 12th, 2018. That meant it went from a close of $96.42 a share on September 4th, 2012 to a close at $64.26 on January 28th, 2013. This is what USA Today had to say. On December 15th, 2015, Apple hit with more bad news on iPhones as shares fall again. And then in the article, it says the stock is now down 17.8% from its 52-week high of $134.54, notched on April 28, putting it just a hair above the 20% bear market threshold. None of us are making stock buying, holding, selling decisions based on perfect information. We're all taking our experiences. We're taking a little bit of trying to rule out our biases. We're taking our decision-making skills to make what we think to be the right decision at the time regarding any stock, whether we're buying it, holding it, or selling it. We use the best information and we use the best experiences that we have to make those decisions. So here's some thoughts that I have that I've written down and maybe some of the things I consider when thinking about buying, holding, selling my Apple stock. So is Apple's R&D budget growing or shrinking? Well, it's been increasing for 15 years, and it's going to surpass $11.58 billion. It's going to surpass that for 2018. So for me, I see a consistent business behavior. So, R&D is not a correlation, but what I look for is patterns. And what I see is that Apple's consistent with their behavior, with their R&D costs, and that gives me a level of confidence. Is Apple able to service its current debt? That's important. Can they handle that short-term debt if needed? Well, the answer is yes. I mean, they're very cash rich right now. The other thing that I like is Apple is now at 2 billion iOS devices sold. So to put that in perspective, let's just think about the Coca-Cola company. If Coca-Cola had 1 billion outlets from which to sell Coca-Cola, can you imagine how much more Coca-Cola they could sell? Well, kind of think about that with Apple. With over 200 billion iOS devices sold. That's a lot of distribution points. Let that sink in. Also, Apple's interest in medical. I don't know where this will go with Apple, but I'm very excited. One of the things that happened just this past Saturday that was mentioned in an article that I read online is that a gentleman had just gotten the app with his new Apple phone with the ECG capabilities and had put it on. And when he put it on, it showed an irregular heartbeat. And he thought, well, that's kind of weird. And so he tried it again and it showed it again. So he gave it to his wife and had his wife take a look at it and put it on. And she put it on and it was fine. He put it back on and it showed an irregular heartbeat. Well, he got enough concerned about it that he went to the hospital and had himself checked out. And when you walk into the hospital and you mention anything about your heart, it's like all hands on deck. And that's what they did. And they told him he had a situation. So they went and got a cardiologist to take a look at him. They got him to a cardiologist specialist, and he's going through some further work there. They put him on high blood pressure pills, and there's some additional follow-up that's taking place. A life saved. And so if you don't think that's a big deal, you say, well, Daryl, that's not a big deal. Well, think about it. Over 610,000 people a year die from a heart attack. 610,000. In the Civil War, it was estimated that 622,000 people died during the Civil War. So the equivalent of what died in the Civil War is dying every year from heart attack, most of which could have been prevented. I think the Apple Watch is going to have a significant part in helping human beings leverage technology to improve their overall health. That's just one area. The other one is they have this sleep tracker that you put in the sheets. They just bought the company, and that's going to be a big deal because now you don't have to wear your watch to bed. And wearing your watch to bed is a problem because you have to charge it at night. And so now they have these little sensors that you'll put in your sheets that will record how well you sleep. And Apple just purchased Platoon, a startup that helps musicians get discovered. So it's going to be exciting to see what's going on there. It's also, Apple's been rumored to be taking a look at iHeartRadio, which was having some financial difficulties. And so it's being speculated that Apple's taking a look at them. Apple's beginning to create their own Apple TV content. So we'll see how that develops. And lastly, and really important, Apple, as I mentioned, is sitting on a ton of cash. That gives me a lot of comfort that they can move the business forward. Let me put it this way. You can sit idly by and listen to the narrative of analysts and their negative portrayal of Apple. Look, Apple's not perfect, and I got it. But I think what I'll continue to do is, when Apple hits these dips, I'll continue to buy until they give me a legitimate reason why I should stop. And that's just the way I feel about the Apple stock. Did you buy or sell Apple stock between November 2018 through April 2019? Let us know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed that walk back video. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so. And remember, also refer a friend to the Money Growth Academy. We'll see you next week.